Hi guys, welcome to my channel. Today I would like to share with you my Panasonic GH5 settings. For information, all these settings can be used on the Leeming Luts. So first of all, I would like to briefly talk about all the buttons on this Panasonic GH5. So in the front button, I have set to the IS lock button. The wheel, I have set the down button to the wavefront. Up button is the card slot, because sometimes when I forgot to insert the card, it will auto record to slot 2, so I need to change it to slot 1. So I set the up button to the slot selections. So the right button is the digital zoom. I seldom use it, but it is useful sometimes. And for the left buttons is actually basically nothing. I set it to the temperature. So after that, let's talk about all the customizations. C1, I set it to 4K 25 frames per second HLG profile. And the C2, I set to 4K 50 frames per second, and it is actually HLG profile. If you connect with the Ninja V, it will automatically change to HLG profile. So because now I don't have the Atomos Ninja V, so it will display as STD. So for the C3 insides, there are three custom sets. The first one is the slow motions. I already set to the 180 frames per second. So during this custom set, on the right hand button, I set to the variable frame rate selections. So sometimes I can do the hyperlapse, I can choose 2, and slow motion I can choose 180. So for the set 2, I set to the full HD 25 frames per second with HLG profile. And for the set 3 is 50 frames per second with HLG profile, full HD. So if I don't bring any Atomos Ninja V, so I can shoot with full HD, and sometimes I don't need 4K, I can use full HD. So after talking all about the custom sets, so let's get into the menu settings. So exposure modes menu, anamorphic, I don't show anamorphic, and the synchro scan is off. Everything it will be default. All here is all default. I didn't touch this. This one, when you first get the camera, change to manual. Therefore, you can use small settings. You can use small settings. Yeah, right. So for the second tab, the record format, I'm using MOV. So because this is the C1, so the record quality is 4K 25 frames per second 400M. For the time code, if you are using Atomos Ninja V, you must very take note of this. You need to turn this HDMI code output on. Therefore, you can use this camera button to start recording on the Atomos Ninja V. So for this HDMI record output, you can see the info display should be off if you are using Ninja V to record. Or not, it will record all the informations on this camera onto the Ninja V. So you must make sure you can turn off. So if you are using Ninja V, you can change it to 10-bit 422. If you don't turn on the HDMI timecode on that I mentioned just now, so you cannot turn on this settings HDMI record control. If you turn on, so let me show you. So you need to turn on the timecode, HDMI timecode output on, so that you can turn on this HDMI record control. Continuous autofocus off. I only set it to on the menu settings. Sometimes I need continuous autofocus, I just change to here. C1, C2, C3, I set it to off because I mostly pre-focus and shoot. So for the photo style is hybrid log gamma HLG. I love HLG profile than CineD because it have more range for me to play around. So all these settings are set based on the Leeming Luts preferred settings. So all -5, as you can see. So for the C1, C2 and C3 set 2, C3 set 3, I'm using HLG. Because HLG can be used only in 10-bit, the C3 set 1 is a slow motion. So it cannot be used the HLG because slow motion only can shoot in 8-bit. So therefore, the picture profile I'm using is CineD. So for the CineD, I also follow the Leeming Luts prefer settings, which is all -5. So let's get down. This one for the filter settings, luminance level. For the luminance level, I set to 0 to 255. Also, Leeming Luts prefer settings. So for the metering mode, I also leave it as default. So for the stabilizer, I turn off the E-stabilizations and the IS lock. Sometimes if I got used, I set it to the front button, so I just hit the button and it will just activate the IS lock. And for this focus length set, I set to 7.5 mm for this lava lens. So you no need to ×2 the focus length, you just set to the default focus length. For example, this lava 7.5, you just put 7.5. You no need to set to 14. So this is the settings. For the external tele converter, I set it to F1. So when you just hit the buttons, you can see you can activate and off. So I already set to the F1 settings. Digital zoom, I set it to the right button. This one set to the default, and I always set the mic level adjustments to -2 because sometimes it's too loud, it will peak the volume. So I just put it to -2. For the mic level limiter, I just leave it on. Noise cancellation standard. So everything is default. So let's get into the custom functions. For the exposure, I set it to 1/3. So this is the pinpoint autofocus settings. I set it to short and picture in picture. I guess so is picture in picture. And this is full. This means that when you zoom in, it only show you picture in picture. But if you put full, it will become full. As my preference, I like to put it to picture in picture. All those are default settings without much. For this menu focus assist, I set it to the third options. A lot of people like to set to the first option, but I not really like. This is because when you want to focus, to turn the focus wheel, it will pop up. You will pop up the zoom functions. So sometimes you're very annoyed. So I just turn it off. When I want, I just hit the FN3 button, so it will zoom. The picking, I set it to on, and you can set the color. So detect level, I usually leave it to high and green color. So for the histogram, I set it to on. Guideline, I set it to the rule of third. So basically all this is your preference, you would like to on or off. So you can just set to your preference. Video guideline, I set it to off. Center marker, I set it to on. Sometimes it's very useful for me. Highlight off. Zebra, I set it to Zebra 1, which is 90% because I'm shooting HLG. Yeah, I just follow the Leeming Luts prefer settings. So if you are using CineD, the setting is 100%. Jabra is for you to check out the exposure, whether it's overexposed. When it go to overexposed, you can start to see the Jabra. You can see that means it's overexposed. So Jabra usage is for this. Sorry if I didn't explain it well. I try my best to explain to you. All these are default settings, and that's all for the customized settings. So at this number 4th section, eye sensor. So eye sensor, for the default settings, it will automatic. Let me show you. In the default settings, it is auto. That means when your face go near, it will turn off the screen and the EV is on, EVF is on. Sometimes it's very annoying. So therefore, I just set it to the default. Eye sensor sensitivity low, and the monitor switch, I just set it to monitor. Because my country frequency is 50 Hz, therefore I'm using PAL. So if you are using NTSC, if your country is using NTSC, you just set it to TSC. So because my country is using PAL, so I set it to PAL. For the setting, that's all. How I set up my Panasonic GH5. If you have any question, you can comment below and ask me, and I'm very happy to reply to you. So all these settings are very good for run and gun. When I'm shooting in the low light, I set it to C1's 4K. If I want 4K, I just shoot it at 4K. So outside the daylight, I need some slow-mo, I can set it to 60 frames per second. I just turn C2. So basically, when you set up your Panasonic GH5, you no need to worry about your settings. So you just select the settings you already set and you are good to go. So another things, my shutter speed I changed to 180 degree. That is the shutter, the type of the shutter. Let me see, where is it? Yeah, here. So you can select you want the shutter speed or you want to use the shutter angle. So now I'm using 180 degree rule. That means my shutter speed is double to my frame rate. You see now it's 4K 50 frames per second. That means the camera will auto set to 1 per 100 seconds. So it will double the frame rate. So this is the shutter angle. So it is very good for run and gun. And mostly I'm using ISO auto, because sometimes I need to fast, I need to recording, I no time to set the ISO, so mostly I just leave it to auto, and sometimes I will adjust it based on the conditions. Yeah, this is my preference. If you would like to set your own ISO, please go ahead. So for the ISO limit, I set it to 1600. So this is really the limit that usable in GH5 for the ISO limit. If you are using HLG, if you are using CineD, I feel that I can go until 800 ISO only. Okay, one more thing. If I'm using the auto lens, I can set the exposure value. So mostly I will set the exposure value to +1 if I'm using auto ISO. Because of the HLG, I have more dynamic range, so I can set it to +1 EVF, so I can get a more balanced exposure if you are using Leeming Luts. So basically that's all my settings. If you have any questions, you would like to know more that I'm not explained very well, you can comment below and I will reply you as soon as possible. Thank you for watching. If you feel this video is somehow helpful to you, you can hit the like buttons and subscribe.